use, okay, in AutoCAD, you can use Control Shift and click, whereas in PDF, you can use the auto count function here. You also can use the auto count function in AutoCAD. We have just seen that. Right. So that is what we have learned. And then we have, yes, we wanted to do a bit of, let's say, at least one measurement on one of the ducts, right? And I wanted to show you how the ductwork can be measured conventionally. Of course, there are shortcuts in the sense you can introduce certain equations. So that will come at the end. So today, what I will do is basically we will measure the duct, and then we'll see how it can be converted into a surface area. Okay, because that duct is always, if you have a GI duct, galvanized iron, and you measure the surface area, and then you later convert into kilograms, right? That's what principle of measurement says. You have to measure ductwork in kilograms, right? Some BOQ, yes, you can see measured in square meters. Some BOQ, they are measured in kilogram. It doesn't matter much because as far as you know the kilograms per square meter, you can always convert a square meter into kilograms, right? And then of course you need to know the gauge of the duct, right? The thickness of the duct material, right? So that's what we learned. That's what we need to learn now. Let's assume that we are going to measure this particular duct, and we have created. Have we created? Yeah, we have created the dimension group also. So how do you do that? So dimension, add dimension, and then add dimension group, and then that is where we set. That's where we specify the parameters. Right. Let's double check what we have specified here. Okay. Folder AC measurement. You are going to measure the length, and default display also in length, because area doesn't give you any sort of sensible measurement there. And wall area, if you take, that will give you the surface area, not the surface area that we are looking at. But if you are measuring the length, surface area is wall area is the, basically, if you take a block work, that's what we do. We measure the length, and then we get the wall area automatically because we can define the height. It's not the volume, it's not the weight as well, right? So none of these parameters will give you the surface area of the duct, right? It's not count, it's not length, right? It's not the area. This is the cross-sectional area, remember. This is the cross-sectional area that we are going to measure from the plan. Okay. And wall area is, of course, if you have selected the length, wall area would be let's say, blockwork area, for example. And if you have measured a certain, let's say, rectangular object, and surface area would be the, what do you call, let's say, kind of a formwork area, right? It's not the volume, it's not the weight, right? So there are no parameters suitable for ductwork measurement here. But as I said, you can introduce certain equation through this tab, right? I'll explain this one at the end, but for now, what I'm trying to do is we just measure the length, and then in the workbook, we'll convert this one into a square meters. Okay, that's what we are going to do, right? So this is how it is. So I close this, and now we are going to measure. But before that, that is where we stopped. I think we need to okay, this is in meters. That is the whole issue. Oh, sorry, feet. Okay, so we'll also look at how to deal with feet and meters. But for now, we have given what do you call unit of measurement as meters and millimeters for this drawing. So let us convert this 22 into, let's say, meters, and then do a quick calibration. Okay, that is one way to do. Otherwise, we can set up feet and inches also, but I'm not going to do it right now. When we measure the reinforcement, I will explain you how to do that. Okay, otherwise it will disrupt my flow. Now I'm going to convert this 22 feet into meters and then do a calibration. So let us do, so I'll turn off the video first. And let's say 22 feet. I'm going to open an Excel. Approximate change, okay, approximate conversion. Say 22 feet into 300, yes. Actually speaking, 303 or 328, I think. Millimeters, 1 feet. Anyway, I'll convert this one into millimeters by multiplying by 300. Okay, so this is 6.6 meter or 6,600 millimeters. So let us do a quick calibration, because now why it shows as 0.444 meters, or why it is showing in meters, because when we added the drawing, we have selected the unit of measurement as millimeters, and when we created the project or the building, unit of measurement has been taken as meters, so it will give you meters and millimeters. Whereas if you define that one in feet and inches, then that will be a different story, right? So let us take a quick calibration. How? Let's say calibration x-axis. I'll do a very rough one, okay? From here to here, right? And how much it was? Actual measurement? Actual measurement is 6,600, correct? Yeah, done. Now let's see. Okay, let's take 16 feet now and see whether, so measure the distance. Let's take from here to here. It gives, sorry, come again. I'm going to measure. It's approximate, okay? It's 4.796. Okay, 4.796. So let's see, 16 into, I'm just going to 4,800 meters. 796 is very much close to 4.8 meters. So let's assume this is fine, because this is in feet and inches. So when you definitely when you convert feet into millimeters, there will be a small gap. So that's one of the reason, and plus, and then this line thickness also matters. But still, this is close enough because I'm getting 4.896 or 4,796 instead of 4,800. So that's fine. So they say this is calibrated, and you can double check if you want this axis also, right? The y-axis, but I will take it as fine, and I'm going to measure this 200 by 300 ductwork here. Okay, 200 by 300 ductwork. I will take the center line of this supplier diffuser or supplier grill as the changing point from 300 to 200, because this part is 200. So I'll only measure one branch here, that's all. Right, so I should be here, and I should be in the dimension group, and then I can use point mode here, right? Right from here to here. right? Done. So it's 5 meters, okay? If you want to know precisely, it is 4.58 here. Now we have measured this, okay? And if you have to measure this one also, you can just add that as well. There's no proper line here. Right. So let's measure this one. Let's say 9 meters again. Right. So you measure all 300 by 200 ductwork under this dimension group and you get 9 meters. Now what we do is we don't have a workbook here. Okay, let's create a workbook. We have created a workbook in the other project. Let's say MEP. Right. So I have created a workbook called, let's say, air conditioning. Right. This is the summary. If you can remember, this is the summary, and then you go to subtotal, and then you will find, let's say, your BOQ. That's level 2, right? And then let's say GI or 1200 gauge. Let's say 1200 gauge. Let's say ductwork. Right. That is the BOQ item, and then you have to go to the quantity level 3 to give you the measurement. Right, from measurement only you have to come level up, one level up. That's the BOQ, and this is the summary. Right, that is what we have learned from the previous work. Right, so I go to quantity, and then this is your measurement level. Now what you do is, of course, you can drag and drop here. Right, drag and drop here. Length, right? Nothing else you can bring because all the others are different parameters. So none of them are matching with the surface area of the duct, right? So you take length as it is, right? So 9, okay? Now what you need to do is basically you have to convert this one into the, because this is 9, right? And then if you do this, if you are doing it manually, there are easy method. Let's say insert a shape. Okay, let's assume this is your duct. Okay, and say this is 300 and this is 200. This side is 200. Okay, and then you have a length of 9.8. Right. So you need to find out the perimeter, or we call it girth. The perimeter is basically 300 plus 200 into 2, right? Because 300 into 300 into 2, 600, 200 into 2, 400, and then when you add them together, 1000 millimeter is the girth. And if you put 1000 millimeter here, now you can just type if you want 1000 millimeters. Now you see the square meters in quantity. And if you want to convert this one into, let's say, kilograms per meter squared, then you can apply even the factor. Let's say 1 square meter is about, let's say, 0.8 kilograms. And you can apply the factor here, and you should get the kilograms here now. And the unit should be, sorry. Okay. I made a mistake. Why? I made a mistake. Why? It is not 1000. It is 1 meter because 9.1 is square meters. So you have to be compatible with the units. So it's 1000 meters, but that means 1 meter, right? And here 0.8 kilograms per square meter. So what you get is kilograms here, right? So this has to be kilograms. You understand? Otherwise, you can have square meters also, but then you don't have to apply that factor here. unit weight. So likewise, if you have all the unit length, right, you can just convert into either square meters or kilograms. And then finally you get your BOQ. Let's say this is your BOQ, okay? This is your BOQ item. And then this is your summary page. And if you put the figures, right, if you apply rate, right, then you can get the amount as well. So that is how, in a nutshell, you can measure the ductwork, right? And the insulation also to go with that, right? You don't have to measure again and again because you can use the relationship between the quantities, right? If you know a particular ductwork is insulated by a particular, let's say 50 millimeter thick insulation, and then you can get the quantities, you can derive the quantities from ductwork quantity, right? So based on the specification, right, you have to create dimension groups. Sometimes you might find stainless steel ducts in sometimes in kitchen areas or maybe in hospitals due to hygienic reason. Sometimes you have GI pipes, GI ductwork, galvanized iron. Sometimes you have flexible ducts. Sometimes you have circular ducts. So likewise, depending on what is given in the on the drawing and on the specification, you can break down your um, dimension groups, right, accordingly, and then you can measure from the drawings, right? So that is how normally we measure ducts, because you can do the manipulation in the workbook. But if you know the length, right, if you know the girth, like what I did, right, you just convert this 300 by 200 into 1 meter girth, and then you can apply a factor if you want to give or to convert into kilograms, and then you end up with kilograms. Or if you don't need factor, you end up with square meters. Either way, right? It depends on how you want to do that, and also the measurement rule, right? If you are measuring uh, according to principle of measurement for me, then of course it has to be kg. I can't remember what SLS 573 says about ductwork. Maybe square meters, maybe kilograms. There can be much deviations. Right. So that is how you measure your ductwork. Right. And then last time we discussed about how to measure the horizontal lines and also vertical lines in a particular pipe work. So whenever you have even vertical ductwork, that is how we measure. But you need to be very careful when you measure vertical pipes, right? We go as I think it was this. No. Yeah, this one. Yes. So when you measure verticals, can you remember? You double click this, and we introduce measurement type as count, and then you define the height for that, right? And then you can change the height according to the place, according to the schematic diagram. Let's say sometimes in some places vertical height is 9, and in some places vertical height would be 4.5 meters. You can change later on after the measurement, you can change and then get your quantities, and that is what we have measured, right? So measuring vertical pipes is the trickiest part, and you introduce as a count and then change the height later on. But measuring anything on the horizontal plane or plan, that is nothing, right? You just measure according to diameters or according to the materials and so on, right? Is that clear? Right. Can you quickly measure this? Do you have this drawing with you, or didn't I give you that day?
Still searching.
So I can put into the WhatsApp
You,
group right now. And then you can
we,
just, we have created these dimension groups the other day, right? Okay, can you create this dimension group first of all? Meantime, I will share this drawing with you in the WhatsApp group. Okay, let me see where it is. Yeah, I'll drop this one onto your WhatsApp group. You can take it from there.
you have given that one.
Given.
Yes, yes. But
Okay,
I think
good.
we can't open the add new drawings. We can't add new drawings because
Okay.
number of drawings I think already
Limited.
fulfilled.
Okay, then create a, okay, okay. What I will do then, okay, let me, anyway, those who are not there, they can now pick up the drawing.
There is MHC drawings ICBD Kurnagal.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll put into the group again if someone has not found it, right? So download this one, add to your CostX. Then you are saying your number of, now we have added
Drawings.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drawings at the moment, right?
No more than we have.
No, I think what you have done then, we have created a separate building called MEP here. I think you have added to the civil one as it is. That's
Yes,
why you have
yes,
a limitation, right? So can you
yes.
create a new one called MEP, building
Okay.
MEP, and then add this drawing. Then again, you have some limitation on the buildings also, number of buildings. Then you have to take a backup and delete one of the buildings because of
Okay.
educational version. And I have taught you how to take a backup, right? Export and import we have done. So you have to take a backup, mean you have to export, right? And then you can delete that project or building, not project. And then you can create this project called MEP. Right. I think that's what we have done. We have created a new project called MEP, and we have loaded all these drawings onto that MEP project. So probably you have forgotten to do that. You kept on adding those drawings into your civil substructure project, I think. That's why you have a limitation. So CostX educational version has a limitation to add number of drawings. I think 6 or 7 only maximum you can add because of the, I mean, otherwise people can use commercial version as, sorry, educational version as commercial version. Right. So can other uh, create a dimension group called 300 by 200 GI supplier ducts, right? Supplier ducts and horizontal, because I just want to make sure verticals are measured separately, right? And then you have to do a calibration, right? You have to do a calibration when you add the drawing. You have you have to select, in this case you have to select the unit of measurement as millimeters. So that is there anyway, by default it is there, so you don't have to do anything. But then when you do the calibration, you need to convert this 22 feet into millimeters and then assign the figures. That's what we did exactly, and then double check with a proper measurement in another dimension. Right, so we did all these things, and then finally we measure 9 meter these two ducts, and then we prepare the BOQ also. Right, so BOQ is this one here, basically 1200 G ductwork, 8 kg, for example. And if you would go to the next measurement level, this is what we did. So we assign the girth here, knowing the length. Right, then if you want, you can apply the factor kilograms per square meter, then you get it in kilograms. If not, you get it in square meters. I hope everything is clear. So can we quickly do this?
Work.
I'll give you 2 minutes. But there's an easy method, because you can when you drag and drop, right, and it will give you certain parameters. So you can define some parameters here by using an equation. So that parameter will also come into this drop down menu. So you can pick that one as a girth, right? And then you can take the girth as well as the length and do it. So easy. But now here what we are doing is we are calculating the girth and put it here. It's not a big deal anyway. Getting the girth of a rectangular duct is not a big deal. Or even you can apply equation here, right? 2 times, right? 300 plus or 0.3, let's say. I think that's better. 0.3 plus 0.2. Correct? 200 then 300. That's it. You can even apply equation here manually. Okay, all good?
Just going.
Okay. Are you getting, let's say, 7.3 square meters in your BOQ like this? Okay, 8 kilograms rounded up. And if you want to put a rate here, you can just put a rate, or you can drag a rate if you have here, if you have the rates here, right, already populated here, and then you can drag and drop there. So we will learn all these things. So it is the same principle. What I give you is a principle, basics, right? I don't want to measure a building, complete building with you guys. That is not the point. So I give you the principles, then you can apply those principles to anywhere you want. Right? I have shown you how to do the linear measurement. I have shown you how to do the square meter measurement. I have shown you how to do the counting, right? And then how to feed into the BOQ and how you can manipulate heights and so on. So all I have taught you. And you are intelligent enough to apply those things in real situation. Right. So let me go back now. I hope everyone is fine, right? Just drop your message that if you have completed that exercise, the ductwork, including adding the drawing and then the what do you call calibration, and then measuring this like this, and then doing a small workbook and creating a workbook called MEP, and then there you first create the summary, right? And then from the summary, you double click on the subtotal, and then you go to the BOQ level, or we call level 2. That is where you have the BOQ item. And the quantity you don't put here. You double click there and go to the measurement rule. Sorry, measurement level, and then you can drag and drop here. So this is just a revision of what we have done before. You can measure any MEP item if you know how to measure count or how to do the counting and how to do the linear measurements, like what we have done, like pipe measurement and the verticals, and then now HVAC ducts. That's all you have MEP. 90% is counting, right? And then linear measurement and area measurement, you hardly find something like ductwork. Of course, you need to find area measurement, but that area is different area. Guys, can you double check your microphones are muted? I get a side. Thank you. Side, your microphone is not muted. Okay. Yeah. All good? I'm just waiting for your confirmation to move forward. Has everyone got 8 kilograms of ductwork? Of course, you have a neat BOQ. I have just typed one item, that's all. You will have a neat BOQ. You can copy and paste a BOQ from an Excel to the workbook like what we did in civil work. Guys, are you there? Are you okay? Good. I'm getting responses now. Yeah, good. Tusit has done. Dushan is fine. How about others? Vitana, Sharif, Said, you all okay? Malinda, are you there? Tanvir, fine, good. Malinda, good. So I'll move on then, okay? Right. So it's not magic what we have learned already. So we have manipulated the workbook to get the girth, and then you have the length. So you multiply the girth by length, you get the surface area. Right. So that's all. It's not huge. It's not rocket science at the end of the day. Right. So now we are moving away from this MEP BOQ. Right. So what we have done is basically we have measured a small power. Right. We have done counting from various drawings from here. And then we have measured the pipe length. Now we have measured ducts and even pipes. We have measured vertical components. Right, and at the end of the day, we have also measured coffee tables, seaters, some furnitures from a PDF drawing. Right, so that's what we learned here under this section. Okay, now we go back to our original substructure measurement. So I close this, right, and I open. Can you also open your original file, which is this Muscat Hotel substructure, right? That's what we we did. Correct? Okay, not this one. For me, it is Muscat Hotel. You can see from this is what we measured. Can you remember concrete we have measured? And then the masonry, and then doors and windows and so on. We prepare the BOQ also, right? So this is what I'm talking about. I want you to come back to this project or this building rather, because project is default project anyway. So we have created different buildings within the same project called Muscat Hotel. Or probably you have given a different name. That's okay. But open this, okay? Please open this. And this is where we produce the BOQ and concrete wall work also same. Right? We measured quantities. I just wanted to show you something special here. Right? That's a okay. Now let's assume, let's say this is a common situation, especially for consultant QSs. Right? You start measuring from a particular set of drawings, and then maybe 2 weeks into the measurements, the architect will send you another set of drawing which are updated. And what you need to do is basically, as a quantity survey, again you need to compare, because you have sometimes you have already measured from the previous set. At least 50% of the progress has been made. So let's say you have already completed the foundation or maybe superstructure, concrete, and now you have got another set of drawing, a revised set of drawing, and now you need to understand, okay, how this revised quantities or revised drawing can be incorporated into my measurements. So in other words, how to handle revisions, right? Here in CostX, you have something called compare. You can see here on my, you can see my cursor here, right? Mouse, right? You have an icon called compare, but that is deactivated at the moment. Yes, because there's nothing to compare, right? In order to compare, I have to upload a revision drawing of from or revision drawing of the, let's say, foundation drawing. Let's say foundation has been revised later on, and we want to see what are the changes now, because that is what we do normally manually, right? We need to find out manually what are the changes from R0 to R1 or R1 to R2, and then you have to make your adjustment. You have to adjust your measurement sheets, right? If you are doing in Excel, let's say foundation size has been changed, then you need to adjust your measurements in the Excel sheet. That's what you normally do. But how do you do in CostX? So that is what we are going to do. First, you are going to compare. You are going to compare, let's say, previous revision with the new revision. Right. For that, I'm going to upload a revised foundation layout. I'm not going to upload everything, right? So I'll take one drawing and I'm going to upload revised drawing of the foundation. And then we will compare this drawing with the revised drawing, because this has been already measured and even the BOQ has been prepared. This drawing has been measured already and the BOQ also has been prepared here. So these are the quantities measured from that particular drawing. if you can remember. Now you have received a revised drawing for the foundation. So normally quantity surveyors hate this, right? Getting revision is a very difficult situation always for quantity surveyors. But CostX has another ideas, right? CostX has tool to handle them very easily. Right, let's understand first the changes. How do you do that? Okay, now in that case, so let us upload the revised drawing. Okay, let me show you the revised drawing here. If you go to Muscat Hotel folder and then structural, it was a CAD drawing, and then you have a foundation layout. I have renamed this as revision 1. I'm not sure how it will look like yours, right? This is the original one, and then you have, let's say, okay, this is revision 1, original one, maybe revision 2, this one, but for now, this is called revision 1. That means the new drawing. Do you have this drawing with you? An AutoCAD drawing? Yes or no? Go to Muscat Hotel folder under structural subfolder and CAD folder, and then you will find next to the foundation layout that we have measured another drawing called revision 1. Oh, what do you see there? What do you see there? Do you find a revised drawing?
Yes,
Okay,
revision was is there.
right, good. Now I'm going to upload this drawing because I'm going to compare original drawing with the new drawing because this has been revised now. Okay, I'm going to compare this original drawing with the revised drawings. Therefore, I'm going to upload this drawing to CostX. Okay, like you do normally. How do you do? How you add a drawing? You go to the drawing step. Can you follow? Can you follow with me? Can you do together? Right? Drawing, add drawings, add drawings, and I'm going to add that particular drawing. Okay, that's why I just wanted to show you. That is under Muscat Hotel, under structural and CAD and revision 1. Open. What you need is layout or model. Yeah. And let's say revision 1. Okay, I'll keep this as revision 1 because I need to understand or I need to recognize between the original drawing and revision 1. Or sometimes you can call this a revision 2, original 1, you can call it as revision 1. Anyway, under the same folder called substructure, I'll leave it as it is. And units of measurements are millimeters, all good, right? I'll insert. Now you can see that drawing has been added here. Okay, can you do that quickly? And you can see unit of measurement millimeters. So can you add the revised drawing or the new version of the foundation layout? Now you always normally hate to compare drawings, and you know you have to check every line, each and every line to understand what has been changed. Because sometimes architects or structural engineers will not even cloud the drawing to identify the changes, right? Because they don't have time to do that sometimes. And even if they have clouded, you're not 100% sure they have clouded all the changes in a drawing. So that is a common issue that we are facing as consultant QS when you prepare BOQs, right? You are not 100% sure that the engineers or architects have captured all the changes from a cloud. You can't believe also sometimes. Right. Okay. So what you do? Okay, now you have added the revision drawing and you have the original drawing. Now you want to compare this drawing. Now you can see this button or this icon is active. as long as, oh, sorry, as soon as I have added this, you can see this button was active now. Earlier it was not the case. It was deactive. Now you are going to compare. Compare what? Compare this drawing with this drawing and see what has been changed. Right? How do you do that? Okay. So once it is added, now what you can do is you go to drawings tab, right? And then go to compare tab, right? And compare drawing to another drawing. Compare drawing to another drawing, right? And then you click on this, right? So what you do is I will do it again, right? You can keep anywhere, right? Uh, right. So you keep this one here and say keep and compare drawing to another. Compare with what? Compare with revision 1. Not with frames or other drawings, right? You don't have to compare with other drawing because you have to compare with foundation layout with foundation layout, but revision 1. So again, I will do that. So I can keep anywhere, right? I can keep here and say compare, or otherwise I can, this is your original. Original is this, and then always you take the reference as the original, right? So you keep the cursor here and say compare. Compare drawing to another drawing and tell me which one to compare, right? Compare with revision 1 and say okay. Now you can see what happens. Now you can see what happens. Now you can see there's a red line here, right? And there's a green line here. Others are, let's say, orange. Now you can see there are no changes here because that is actually what they have done is they have superimposed these two drawings, revision 0 with revision 1, original drawing with the new revision. And they are showing the changes. And here, this color means there are no changes, right? Red color means the omission. Green color is the addition. Now you can see this has been extended then in that case, correct? Am I getting? Right. So this is called, basically this is your what you're doing is superimposing or overlaying the drawings, right? You overlay the drawings and see the changes. I think this function is available in many of the software, like not only BIM software, but even in Bluebeam you have this function, right? You can overlay the drawings and see the changes. So it's very similar, right? So there's a standard color here, right? As far as I can remember, the green is the new one, the red one is the omission, right? And this is because why the green one has been superimposed with the red one. So no changes. The what you call the orange color means no change, right? And you can see only these foundation sizes have been changed. So I've taken a very simple example because for you to understand. And these foundations of the footings have been changed. That's all. All the others remain same. Right? If you were to take a printout or report, what you can do is now, right? While you are on the comparison mode, right? You can get a report here. You go to drawings mode while you are in the comparison mode, and then you can take a printout, right? You can say print drawing window to report, right? And then preview. Now you can see here. If you want to make a, let's say, if you want to send an email to a client saying that, okay, these are the changes from previous revision to this one. So we have to redo the calculation and so on. If you want to claim some, let's say, additional hours, because your QS has spent so many hours measuring the previous version, and all of a sudden you are getting a newer version and there are plenty of changes, in this case minor changes, and you can say, look, for the record purposes you can send this to the client saying that, okay, these are the changes from the revision 0 to revision 1, right? So here they are using a color code, right? And these are these are no changes, but red is omission and green is the addition. So that means this has been extended to this, right? And this foundation also has been extended to this line. Is that clear? Okay, can you do that quickly? Can you add this drawing and then say compare with the previous one? Right? If you don't want, you can just close. Now you can see this one goes in the grid F, right? It was like 5.2 here. And what has happened here is revision 1, it has been reduced, correct? Let's say from grid D is 5.2, revision 1, it is 3.5. So it has been reduced, right? Green one has become, okay, it has been reduced now. You can do that, you can do the comparison the other way also, right? So green represent the base drawing always. Green represent the base drawing. So it has been reduced actually, not extended, because we have used the original drawing as this one, and that is how we compare. So this has become, it's not extended, the size has become less, or length has been reduced, because green is the base. Again, I will do it again, okay? So if I keep this one as my base, all the green lines would be, would represent the original drawing. So now I compare. I'll say, okay, I'll keep this one as my base, and then I compare with revision 1. Compare drawings to another one, and there I'll show as revision 1, okay, and say, okay. Now what happens? Now, okay, green one is the original one here, because green one I have taken this original drawing, and the revision one is my red one. Actually speaking, the foundation size has been reduced, not extended. Because remember, green one is the base one, original one. Red one is the new one. Here also same. So green one is the new one. Red one is the, sorry, green was the original one, the reference, and red one is the new one. And you can see the foundation sizes have been changed. And if you want to take a printout, you go to drawings and then make a report out of that, right? publish drawing window to PDF if you want. You just convert into PDF and you can get a PDF and save it. Okay, somewhere if you want, you can just save it and you get a PDF version of this. Or what you do is basically you get, sorry, right now you can see, if you want, while you are in the comparison mode, you have to go to drawings and say report, right? And then window to report, preview, you can see the preview and you can see with the color coding. So green one is the original one, red one is the new one. And you can see the foundation size has been changed. That's all on these two. You can produce a report and send an email to a client, right? If they ask what are the changes from previous revision and you don't have to do it manually, you can compare one to one, apple to apple. And then you can produce even a report. Okay, that is one. Okay, now you have, let's say in the comparison mode now, right? In the comparison mode, yeah, we were here in the comparison mode, right? Now, if you can keep your cursor and then just drag it like you. So you can see drawings have been coincided or drawings have been superimposed, or you can say overlay. That's how they do. Automatically, you can it has done, but you can do it manually also if you want. Like let's say you have moved it around and then you can put it back. Let's say grid to grid like A, right, and then A, and then you can put it here like you can always put it back, and that's why you get kind of a orange color for the areas that are not changed, and red is of course the new one and the green one is the original one. Here you can see. So always you can put it back. Okay, you can see, you can put it back, but you don't have to do that because it gives you automatically the changes. So system will take a reference point and then give you the changes. Right now, I'll do it again. Sorry. Right. If you have to do the other way around, you can take this as a base. Then the green would be base. This one, okay. Red would be new one. So you can do that one also. You can say drawings, compare drawing, and I have taken the base as revision one now. Now you have to compare that one with original one, and then you do the other way around. You can see red one is the new one. Then new one is the original drawing now, because that is how I compared this. Correct. If you keep your reference as this one, and the original layout will be compared accordingly. In that case, the green one represent the revision one, red one represent the original drawing. So it's the other way around now. So either way it's fine, and you can see the changes, right? And then now you can see there are sliders here, right? There are sliders. You can change this uh, sliders if you want. You can see like what we did in counting, right? You can change the colors here if you want. If you want to make it visible, right? You can change the colors. But what is important is you have to see the red color as the new one, the green color as the original drawing, and then rest is with probably kind of a orange color, because red and orange coincided on each other. So default, I'll advise you to keep it default position always, but you also can change the sliders and change the visibility. Okay, like you have come across in measuring or counting in PDF, right? You can see you can change the colors also again. But why you have the default colors or default position? You'll keep it in the default position. That's the best. Understand? Right. So colors you can change always. I think I like this because that is very visible. If you need a little bit more green here, you can come here. And this is red color, right? If you want to change, this is high red color and green color I have put into the kind of middle range because I don't want to. I don't want green to overcome the existing color. Otherwise, I will see everything as green here. So I'll keep it here. You can see. Now this green is the change, original, and red one is the new version. And then you can produce even report, right? Go to drawings and produce report. Is that clear? Can you quickly do that? And also you can move around and put it back. Right? But anyway, it is not a manual comparison. What we did an automatic comparison. So drawing the CostX will take a reference point by its own and then make a comparison. But if you, let's say by mistakenly you have moved this drawing, you can put it back. Understood? Right. So my reference point is now this drawing because that is where I kept my mouse cursor, right? When we perform the comparison. Then the green color would be revision 1. Red color would be original drawing. If you keep this one here and do the comparison, then the green one represent from the original drawing, the red one will represent from the revision 1 or revised drawing. Is that clear? Right. Can you quickly do that and let me know? I'll do the other way around. I'll take this as the original reference. So it will give you green color. Right. That is how it is. Comparison. Can you quickly do the comparison and let me know? Put a message to the chat box. I think this function is, of course, very, very familiar to you. Because you must be working with plan shift and probably Bluebeam or any other software, maybe Cubicost. Still, you have this comparison function in any form of software. You always can compare two revisions and see what has been changed. Because as a QS, you need to understand uh, what are the changes from previous version to the new version, and then you can adjust your measurements accordingly because you are still measuring 2D. Right. All good? Okay, good. Now we are moving to another aspect, right? So I'll close this now, right? And you can measure from here also. If you can measure from, let's say from this green line to the red line, right? From here, you can do that, okay? While you are in the comparison mode, you can go to, okay, you can go to drawings and then probably reports. You can go to so many other tabs, right? While you are working in this, right? Anyway, that is called comparison. Now I want to exit from this. Now I have to click here, the top one, and then say close. So I'm back to where I am. And this is your original and this is revision.
It's
Okay.
just
Yeah.
we can remove that dimension. From the dimension, we can remove that foundation and re-add, right? Edit or to add the
Hmm.
revised quantity.
Okay, I'm going to do that now.
Okay, okay.
So that, okay, this function is called comparison. So
Yes.
what we just did was comparison drawings. You just compare. In order to do the comparison, you need to have two revisions of the same drawing. So this is just the comparison. We didn't change any of the quantities yet. And that function is called revisioning. It is not comparing. Now let's say, now we have measured this foundation layout, correct? And even we have prepared the BOQ, correct? These BOQ quantities have been prepared based on the revision 0, which is this. And we have just added revision 1 now. Now, as you rightly said, now I want to update the quantities to match the revision 1 because we have measured revision 0. Now I want to update the BOQ to revision 1. Okay, that's what we are going to learn now. And that is called revisioning. We haven't gone into this tab yet. We have gone into home, we have gone into drawings tab, we have gone into workbook tab, we have gone into dimension tab. Right now we are going into a new tab called revisions. Okay, that's how we normally handle revisions. Now in this case, right, you have about 4-5 steps to handle. Right. When you do the revisioning, that means if you want to update the quantities of the BOQ, right, you cannot firstly add the revision drawing. Therefore, I'm going to delete this now. And it's a different, altogether different methodology. Okay. Now you have learned about comparison, just forget it and remove this drawing. That's all. Because we have not measured from this drawing anyway. I just wanted to show you the changes from this to that. And you have just seen that. Okay. Now I'm going to delete this drawing because I want to practice something called revisions. That means I want to update the quantities of the BOQ. For that, of course, you need to add this drawing later, not now. Therefore, I delete this. Can you delete this with me? Okay. Now it is as if you have prepared the BOQ for the original drawing, and now you have received another revision in the layout, in the foundation layout. Just a second. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Now, okay. Please understand the difference. Okay. Earlier, what we did was just a comparison. We were not going to update any quantities or anything like that. We just wanted to see what are the changes. That's all. If you want to report to a client that they have changed the drawings, that's all. Now we are going to update the quantities based on the revised drawing, and that is what we call as revisioning. Okay, this is a very good function in CostX where you don't have to remeasure the new drawing. You don't have to remeasure the new drawing. So that is very important, right? But still you can update your BOQ without remeasuring the entire entire revised drawing. You can update the BOQ quantities. So that is what is called revisioning. Okay. So let us take one by one. There are few steps to follow, and this is very long process. And you need to follow, and you need to make a short note also. What is called revisioning? Okay. Now step number one. Step number one is if you go to now you can see. So we have not been into this tab before, right? We have been working on drawings, dimensions, and file, correct? And then home, right? And then workbook. Now, first time we are working on the revision step, and you can see the current version is given as 1, right? Initial. That means I've been working on the current version. So it doesn't necessarily have that extension revision 1. This one in CostX, they call as current version as 1 or initial version, right? So that is default. By default, you have a current version called this, and your BOQ is based on this current version, correct? That's what you measured. And you see it is given here, current. It goes as current 1 initial. Okay, you can see only one drop down arrow here. So current version is the initial version. That's how it takes CostX. Now you are not going to do anything. You are going to lock all the drawings. There's something called, okay, let me show you now. The first step would be go to revision tab, right? Just a second. Now you can see some of the icons like Chromo drawing is deactivated. Restro previous deactivated. Compare drawing deactivated. There's a comparison here as well, but here this is the comparison we have used just now under the drawings tab. Okay, don't make don't get confused. So this comparison we just did. That is a visual comparison of two drawings. That's all. If you want to update your quantities, you have to work on the revision tab and compare here. Right? I'll take you through one by one, then you will understand it much better. Right. So you click on your revisions tab and you can see the current version like I explained. Right. And now you are going to start the process. Right. Now you can see under revision tab here, you have properties and you have add. Correct? Revision tab, you have something called add. Now only we are going to add a drawing. Right? Now you are not going to add a drawing per se, but you are going to introduce another revision. You are not going to add yet. You are just going to introduce a new revision. Okay. How? Again, you have to follow these steps very carefully. Okay, so you have to focus 100% now. Otherwise, you will lose your track. Right. Step number one, if you want to make a note, please do so. Step number one in revisioning is, right, go to revision tab and you have to add a drawing, but you are not actually adding a drawing, but you are introducing a revision. But you can see now, the system takes the revision numbers as 2. Obviously, your revision one be drawing revision number one would be 1. That is okay, but system take this as a 2. System take the original one as revision 1. That's why you can see revision 1 here, initial. Current one is taking as the revision 1 in CostX. New version will take as revision 2 in CostX. It doesn't matter. It's just a convention that they take. And you can say name, right? Let's say foundation, right? Revision number, yeah, you can say the foundation. Let's say for us revision 1 if you want, but I will also stick to the same thing. Okay. Okay, revision. Yeah, I'll put revision 1 as well, but system will take as 2 because the original one will take them as revision 1. Now you are going to add a revision or introduce a revision to the system. If you want any notes, let's say dated, and how you have received the revision, you can just put some notes here. Okay, just put some notes, and default drawing path I'll keep as it is. Right, default drawing path I will keep as it is and say insert. Now you see what happened. All of a sudden, these are activated. All of a sudden, these are activated. And also, you can see a padlock sign now. All the drawings are locked now. All the drawings are locked because now the system knows, or the CostX knows, that I am going to introduce a new revision. In fact, I have introduced a new revision. You can see the current is 2. Current is 2. Revision 2 it takes. Right, so I have introduced to CostX another revision, but still I haven't added the revision drawing. So that is the difference between
How
previous
easy?
comparison and then revision. Is that clear? Right, can you do this? So we'll take one by one. Otherwise you will get lost. So the first step would be introduce a new revision. How did you do that? Go to revision and add. Let's say you can see now when I put another, if you want to put another revision, it goes as revision number 3. You can do that. But for now, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to get confused otherwise. So anyway, it gives the automatic number of 2, and you can add few notes here and say insert. And then automatically when you insert, all the drawings will be locked and you will see the padlock sign. So that is the first step of revisioning. And also you can see these buttons are now activated. Earlier it was not activated. Right? Can you do that quickly? Now we are going to change the BOQ quantity with the revised one without measuring. This is one of the important part of CostX revisioning.
How easy?
Right, everyone has done this. Now you can see I have not added the revision 2 yet or revision 1 yet. I didn't do that. What I did was I have introduced, or I have instructed CostX saying that I'm going to introduce or I'm going to add a new revision. So what it does is basically it locked all the drawings now, because knowing that I'm going to add another drawing to this, a similar drawing or revision drawing. CostX knows that I'm going to add another new drawing. So it locks all the drawings, right? Done. Can I move to next step? Now that is your step number one. So you are going to instruct the CostX that you are going to add another revision. So it's matter of like, giving a name to the next revision, right? And say insert, and then as soon as you do that, the computer will lock the drawings, and you will see the padlock sign here. And also you will see the active icons here, right? Now we are into the second step. Under the second step, we are going to now add the revised drawing. Now we are going to add the revised drawing. How do you do that? Right. Now you have selected the original drawing, right, which you need to compare, right? And you can see a current revision as 2, right? And then you can see this promote drawing, and that is how you introduce the new drawing. Now you are going to promote a drawing, right? And it's like adding a drawing previously, right? So what you're going to do is now promote a drawing, right? It's not like you are going to do another drawings and like add. It's not that case, right? We are in the revision tab. Remember, we don't go to other tabs now in this case. Now click on the promote drawing. Click on the promote drawing, and then you will appear, the computer will give you this kind of a dialog box, right? What you are going to do is choose a new drawing file now, right? Because you are going to choose a new drawing file. You keep a tick on that and say OK. And now you have to show the new drawing, because you are going to add a new drawing now, or in other words, you are going to promote a new drawing. So we don't normally call it that adding a drawing in the revisioning function. Instead, we call it as promoting a drawing. Okay. And which one is this? This one here. Now you are going to promote this drawing, revision 1 as the revision, and say open. Let's say model. Here we go. And I would say now this as revision 1. Okay. A CostX will take this as a revision 2. That's okay. Right. Everything else is okay, and say update. Now you can see. And that padlock sign has been removed of this particular drawing. Correct? So as soon as you have promoted the drawing, now it is disappeared. You can see. As soon as you promote the drawing, that means you are adding the revision 1 basically. And your padlock sign has been disappeared. Okay, can you come to this level? So this has about 4-5 steps. I want you to watch the video again tomorrow and digest yourself the process. But we are still in the revision tab. Okay, we have not gone anywhere. We are working on the revisions tab for the revisioning. In other words, we are going to make we are going to consider the revision 1 drawing to update the BOQ. That's why this padlock sign has been removed. And you can't see even the original drawing now. Because we are ready to measure from this drawing now. That is what we call as promote drawing. Okay. Promote drawing. Now you can see. Okay, guys, you are here now. All done. I don't want anyone to be left behind. Right, to see this there, fine, good. Alinder, yeah, good. This is very interesting, right? You need to follow me 100%. If you lose your concentration, you will get lost. Okay, Dushan, all good. Right, so I go back to CostX here. Now we have done the step 2. First step was adding a drawing or introducing a drawing to the CostX, and then you seeing the promote drawing, what do you call icon, you introduce the new drawing. So it is easy, not that difficult. And then you will see the padlock sign has been removed. Now you can see there's another compare, what do you call icon. It is not that here, it is not this one here. Okay, same icon, but here it is in the drawing tab, here it is in the revision tab, you can see. Now you use this compare drawing, right? And I click on this now, right? Right, I'll click on this, and now you can see, okay, compare with what? Revision 1, yes. Compare with revision 1. Okay, match objects or match lines. Right, normally we don't have any objects. We have objects in a 3D model, right? When you compare 3D model to 3D model, you have to match objects. Now you have to match lines. Okay, match lines, and then okay. Now you see the same thing happened. Same thing happened. Previous also we had a comparison. Now also we have a comparison. But this is quite different. Right? This is quite different because we are going to update the quantities this time. Earlier we were not going to update the quantities. We just wanted to compare the drawing. Now you can see the blue lines are no change. Right? The green line is the base. Sorry, red line is the base. Green line is the new one. If you can remember. Right? Quantity has been reduced. Quantity has been reduced. Right. Now we know this. But again, if you want, you can take a report and all these things can be done. Right. Now you can see the layers here. If you want. Right. You can see new one. Okay. Now this is the same. Okay. If you want to make it very clear, you can see the same. That is blue part. And you can see this is missing. And if you want to see new one, this is the new foundation. And if you want to see deleted, what is deleted is this part, correct? Deleted is this foundation and adding is this. So basically, now you can see the new one is the green one, right? From the previous version to the new version. New one is the green one here. Deleted has been the red one, right? So you can see all of them together. Now you can see this foundation size has been reduced because red one to the green one. You can see new one is green. That means older one is the red one. So foundation size has been reduced here also same. Now you understand that one. So that is from the layers. You have only 3 layers here. Same, new, and the deleted. Right now you can understand what has happened in this particular foundation, two foundations. Right, we go back here. Now you knowing what has been changed now. Right now this is the step number 3. Okay, and if you want to make a report, you can do a report also, right? Like this, and do a preview. Right, same, but different color scheme now this time. How did you do that? Now you are in the comparison mode under revision, but then go to the drawings and then press the reports. You can see the report. Now you are still in the revisioning mode, remember. Right? Everything we do in revision step. Right. Can you get into this position now? This is like step number 3. Right. What we did was we just click on the compare drawings icon, and you will go to this, and then you can see from the layers tab, right? You can see more precisely what has happened, right? Deleted red ones, and then new ones, and then new one is green, right? You can see same is this, and if you don't want that one, you can see this way. What has happened to these two foundations? That's all. Correct? Right. So this is how it is. Now we are in the step number 3. Now, what you can see is what are the changes happened to this now. Now we all know the red one has become the green one. That means foundation size has been changed. So what are the affected, what do you call, dimension groups because of this change? And here, same. So what are the affected dimension groups here? Obviously, foundation, correct? F3. F3 has been affected, right? What else? And then here, F6 has been affected. So you need to change the quantities of this F3 and F6 because we have measured from the previous drawing. We all know. And also we know PCC quantity will change because the size of the size of the footing has been changed, F6 and F3. Now we know we know this, we have to change the dimension groups. And by changing the dimension groups quantity, automatically these quantities are linked to the BOQ automatically. So BOQ quantities will be automatically changed. So that is the idea. So we are going to change the, now you can see everything is 0 now. Everything is 0 at the moment, but I will show you how it will be changed. Right. Now we understand the affected dimension groups. We know if 6 has been changed, or will have to be changed, and we know if 3 will have to be changed, and also the PCC. Of course, we have calculated the formwork also, but not as a dimension group. Right, within the workbook we have calculated, yes. So everything will be linked to that, and all the quantities will be updated accordingly. Right now, I'm going to focus on PCC, F3, and F6 dimension groups. Right. Now I'll start with, let's say, I'll start with F3. Okay, I'll start with F3. Now you can see F3. I'm going to. Okay, this is what has happened in F3, right? This has become this. Okay, right. Now, while you are here, now you know F3 quantity will be reduced, and also the PCC quantity will be reduced accordingly. Right. So you go to home page now. Right. You go to home page. Right. And you click on this. Right. Again, I'll do that. Right. While you are here in the revision mode now. Okay. and you go to, okay, you have done the comparison first. Okay, you do the comparison, and so you say mesh lines, and then you are in this. Yes, while you are here, right? While you are here, you go to home page. While you are here, you go to home tab, not page. Sorry, right? Go to home tab, and you have also selected F3, right? Now you just click on this drawing. Now you say this dimension group contain unrevised dimension from a previous revision. To display them, data from the blah blah blah. Right? Do you want to load data from the previous revision now? Yes. So you will see a pop-up and you will say yes. And you see what happens now. Okay, I'll do it again. Just a second. So I was here and I was comparing revision one mesh line, and we are here, right? Right. I know now F3 and F6 and PCC have been affected. Okay. Now go to the home tab. And you select this, right? And I'll say yes. Right. Now I should see F6, yes. I'm not getting the window that I'm supposed to get here. I should see the original line and the new line. And I should be able to drag that original line to the new line. So automatically the quantities will be updated. So that is what I should be getting, right? Let me see whether I have missed one step somewhere here. And we are in the revision 1. Oh, revision 2 here, right? Okay, go to again revision, compare hash lines. Okay, right. And we'll select, let's say, dimension groups F3, F6, and PCC all together. Say okay. Okay, now you got it. Now, okay, let me put this way. Now you can see what happens. I have to select the affected ones, affected dimensions, right? All together I have to select. Since after the selection, I have to click on this, and then you will get into this position. I'll do it again, don't worry. Okay, I'll do it again. Right. I'll do it again. Can you follow it with me now? Now we are here. Revisions, compare. Revision, compare with revision 1 means or in AutoCAD, it's the original one, okay? And say mesh lines, and you get into this. Now, since you have understood what are the dimension groups that have been affected, you need to select them together. One, control, F3 has been affected and F6 has been affected. We can understand from this. Nothing else, because these are the dimensions, only concrete, because the formwork we have derived from the concrete. So these are the affected PC dimension groups. So you have selected, and now after that you select the drawing here, and then you will get a pop-up, and yes, say okay. Then you are here. Then if you zoom it out, you can see now these are your original ones, and this is your new one. What you need to do is, right, what you need to do is, right, you need to drag this one here up to this level. You should be able to drag this line to here. Just a second. Okay. Why it is not allowing me? Ah, okay. Now you can see I can drag that line to here. Okay. Here also F3. I'll do it again. Don't worry. I can drag this one over here. Can you understand now? So what I did was basically I have measured a bigger dimension now, bigger footing. Now I have made it smaller because revision drawing says this has been reduced the length, and even the F3 has been reduced. So that is what exactly I have done. Understood? Right. So if I do it correct, if I do it again, I want to cancel this. It seems that I can't reverse. I can't go reverse. Okay. Okay. Can you select the affected dimension groups? First, control, you select and then click on this revision, and then everything will be like highlighted. So you know F6 has been reduced. So you have to drag that line to the new position here, right? You have to drag the line to new position here. Here also you have to drag the line to new position. And now we are here. So we didn't remeasure. So what we did was we have coincided the original measurement with the new measurement. That's all. That's why I said this is a long process. But when you get practice, it's not a big deal. Right now, we have done that part. Okay, we have brought this line to a new position here, and F3 also we have brought this line to the new position here. Now we are done. Right now, what we need to do is, okay, dimensions all done. right? Now go to revisions, right? Go to revisions and you have to now accept everything, right? You have to accept all. So new change, you have done some changes. Now you have to accept all dimensions. Okay. And you see what happens when you do that. Accept all dimensions. You go to revision and you now accept the changes that you have done here. And you see what happens. Now you see what happens. Actually, we have to select the entire thing, okay, entire concrete folder and say, because all the quantities has to be brought into this, right? Accept all dimension, entire concrete folder. Now you can see the changes. You got all the quantities now back to, because there are certain there were certain columns without any changes. So you are bringing back all the quantities to suit the new drawing, right? So that's why you have to select the entire folder here and say select accept all dimension. Then you get all the quantities because earlier it was all zero, correct? Now we have updated all the dimension groups, quantities. Now we have to update the BOQ. That is the workbook. So that is the last part of everything. How do you do that? Now go to workbook. Right, we have now updated everything. You have to go to the workbook and say update the workbook. Or in this case, let's say revisions, and then you have the workbook here, right? You can see here the revision, under revision you have the workbook, right? And here you have an icon called promote workbook, right? You just click on that, you'll get all the quantities updated because the quantities given here in the dimension groups are automatically linked to the workbook. Now when I say promote the workbook, so all the quantities now here, the revised quantities in the dimension groups will be automatically linked to the BOQ. See how fast it is, right? That's why I said don't do manual uh, entry here because everything can be linked. That's why this BOQ or the workbook is linked to the dimension group. So whatever the links automatically will be updated. And you click on this now, right? Now if you see now 47 and you see double click PCC. Yeah, now you can see that has been changed. F3, earlier it was 333, I think, if you can remember from the previous BOQ. Now it has become 325 foundation. So those are the changes, right? PCC has been changed and foundation has been changed because F3 and F6 figures have been changed. So that is reflected here automatically. That is how you introduce a change or revision into the BOQ. It's a long process, I know, but everything will happen in the revision tab. Right? Firstly, you introduce a, okay, just to conclude this, summarize. right? You introduce a revision here, right? You introduce a revision and then automatically this promote drawing icon will be activated. Then you can add the new drawing using this promote drawing, right? Right. So you see that here. You see that here. Then you will see unlock sign there or padlock sign has been changed, right? And then you compare the drawing. Still in the revision tab, right? You compare the drawing. While you are while you are in the comparing mode, you can understand what has happened. So you select the dimension groups that has been affected. You select them, and when you select them and you click on the drawing, and there will be a popping up message, right? And you say OK, and then you will get all the quantities updated. And also at the same time, you have to say accept all dimensions. Then only you will see all the quantities will be updated, right? And then once you have done that, right, you have something in the revision tab itself. You have something called promote workbook, right? And then when you click the promote workbook, so all the updated quantities will be automatically linked to the workbook. So that entire process is called the revisioning.
Hello.
Right. Can you do that now? Can you do that up to the workbook? I think you have come to like step 3. Now you have to, okay, you are in the comparison mode, right? You were in the comparison mode. Can even follow me now. Mesh lines, okay. Right. And then what you need to do is you have to select the affected dimension groups, PCC, F3 and F6. You select and then you select the division 1 role. Click on that. And you will see this. And then you have to drag the line to the new position here. I can't do that because I have already done that. You have to drag the line here, and F3 also you have to drag the line here. Okay, and then you have to say accept all dimensions. Accept all dimensions. And then you will see the quantities here. Earlier it was 0, now you see all the quantities. And then you say promote workbook. Right. And then finally accept all dimension and then finally promote the workbook. So all the workbook quantities will be updated according to the new drawing now. Now you can even produce a report, right? While you are in the revision mode, right, you can go to drawings and say report. Right, you can take a printout or you can produce a report. Right, since you have updated the entire BOQ now, right, you can produce a report. Yeah, report, we all know report, print workbook to report, right? And then print options, fine. And then you can take a preview. Okay, you can do that if you want a report. similarly what we have done. If you are in the workbook, you can also like print workbook to report now. And then can you remember we have created so many reports? Let's say standard one here. And you can make a copy. Version 3. Right, and if you want to compare previous quantities with new quantities, you can do that. You can go to edit report, and even you can like you can compare previous quantities with variance quantity, for example. You can add that also here, right? And then original quantity, everything you can take a very good report to say what has happened from previous version. It's like doing a variation, correct? You can do a variation here. And you can get a report, right? Previous quantity and new quantity and difference. And now in this case, I put variance report, right? And say update and generate. Right. Anyway, now you can even add variance quantity. You can see here. Now you can see pit excavation has been even reduced to reflect that. So wherever you have a link, even the formwork quantity has been reduced, right? Blinding concrete 1 cubic meters has been reduced. Okay, and then here there should be foundation quantity also had been reduced. There should have been some reduction here. I think what has happened was we have done, if you go to this here, we have several layers, right? Earlier, this was I think 333, if I can remember. So everything will be reflected basically, technically, whatever links that we have created with the dimension groups will be automatically updated. So you have to practice this now. You can take a report if you want, original, and what is the variance or whatever the add and omit also you can see. That's how you generate report. So you update the workbook and then come to the workbook tab and then generate report, like what we discussed the other day. Print workbook to report. Right. I know there are limitations here in the educational version. So only the standard reports that you can generate. None of the custom reports you can't you can generate. So you can make a copy of this report and then you can generate that report. When you generate the report, right, then you can select whatever you want. Not here. Yeah, then you can edit the report. When you edit the report, of course, you can select whatever you want. The headings you can select according to your requirement. So I'm not going to go into details again because since we have done reporting earlier. And you can try out anything now, page layout, grouping and footing, right? Header, columns, and all the things can be tried out. Right, so that is what we discussed now. How to introduce a revision, right? And then with the revision, how can you upgrade your quantities? And when you upgrade your quantities, how to upgrade your BOQ? And when you upgrade your BOQ, right, you can even generate a report of the deviations, or in other words, add and omit. So everything can be possible through a function called revisioning. Right, it is a long process. I know revisioning is a long process. First, you have to introduce a revision, and then you have to add a drawing through promote drawing, right? And then compare the drawing. When you are comparing the drawing, you need to understand the affected dimension groups. So you select all the affected dimension group, and when you click on the drawing, right, it will give you a flexibility to do the adjustment. You have to drag certain lines from original position to new position, original position to new position, and then you accept all dimensions, right? And then promote the workbook. Everything will be done automatically, right? Are you okay with that? And I would like to see the messages from you guys when you're done, right? Can you do that? I know it's a little long process, but that is very important. Revisioning. This is 2D drawing only at the moment. You don't have to do all these things when you have two models, revision 1 and revision 2, you can compare very easily. We are still on 2D drawings, that's why. Just drop me a message, right, when you're done.
understand. Even if I spent my entire life studying it, I would never fully know its secrets. Now I'm Muslim. The scientists had gone through incredible change. American scientists claimed that the black stone, which
So, Sid, do you have an issue?
And the initial drawing set, when go to the initial drawing set, all the drawings are locked, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
If I need to
And
add
then
another dimension group somewhere under furniture, or if I forget something to measure, I need to add right another dimension group to another folders. Example
it's
under
like this.
furniture. Ah, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like this. Now, when you do the revisioning function, that means you have received a particular drawing, let's say foundation revision foundation layout. Okay,
Okay.
so first you introduce a revision like this, then everything will
Mm,
be locked. Okay,
mm,
and then you promote the drawing, meaning you are
okay.
introducing, you are adding the revised drawing. Okay, and
Mm,
then what you do is you compare the two drawings.
mm,
Right? When you compare the drawing, you understand the affected dimension groups.
mm,
So when you do that, right, you then select the affected dimension groups, and then you click on the revision one,
mm.
right? And then you update all the quantities basically. Or you will see a drawing, and then in the drawing you have to drag the lines to appropriate position to reflect the revision. So
Yes.
once you have done this, you have to accept all the dimension.
Oh, mm,
Then you will see all the quantities back to all the original quantities plus the revised drawing will be appeared here now.
yes.
Then you update the workbook. Now
Yes.
now you are ready. Now you are ready. Or in other words, now you have updated the workbook to reflect only the foundation layout because
Mm,
that is the only revision.
yes.
Now, once you update the entire BOQ, now you can add another drawing and carry out all the measurements. That is not a problem. So I can show you
But
here.
we can't go to the previous set, right?
Uh,
Yes. Previous
okay,
set,
let
not
me again. Yeah. So once you do that, yes. Now, for example, this one here is unlocked. Now you can do any changes again. Let's say you have forgotten anything, you can still do this. But here superstructure, if you take now, for example, superstructure, right? What is this? Concrete, right? Oh yeah, superstructure here. Now you can see 236, and if you want to create another dimension group here, let's say add dimension here under, let's say add dimension group. Now I'm in this drawing, okay? And let's say test, okay? And then let's say area, blah, blah, blah. You see what happened? You can't, okay,
select the
folder.
folder.
Yeah. Let's say superstructure. Yeah, concrete superstructure. And then you say insert. Now test. Now you can still measure something if you want, right? Now you
Mm,
can, now as long as you are updating this one again with another drawing, this padlock sign will be there. That means that is original. Now, now you can see this has been replaced with revision 1. You don't see now revision 0, or the original drawing is not here now. that has been replaced with this one, and all the quantities have been updated accordingly. Now, when you want to update, let's say level 1 frame plan with the next revision, you do the same process, and then this one will be replaced with revision 1, and you can update all the quantities. But otherwise, you can introduce as you normally do. You can measure. If you have forgotten something, you can still add. No issue. Now, for example, let's say if you want to add a line, or let's say you want to add something here, test, right, point. Let's say you want to add something like this, dimensions. Level 1 frame, am I in the level 1? Okay. This is level 2. Yeah, this is in the locked stage.
Yes.
This is in the locked stage. So you can't do that. But I will double check on that. Right, I'll get back to you. I haven't come across this one before, but I will double check and get back to you, right, during the next week. Okay. Let me see whether
Yes.
we can add while
Add or
the
edit.
pad
Add
edit
or edit.
while the padlock sign is on.
Yes.
Yeah, I think idea is, of course, since you have like locked all the quantities and you have only updated this one. Yes, these quantities are locked now. These drawings are also locked. I think I will double check on that. Okay,
Okay.
that's a good question. Right. So I'll go back to 3D. Right. Has everyone added CostX 3D now? Okay, good. Like this. And you have to select this model. Okay, here we go. We have to do a little bit of manipulation here. Now you can see, if you want to see this 3D model right from the top, you can see on the right upper corner here, you have kind of navigation. Okay, if you want to see the top, you just click on this and you see the top of the building. And if you see, if you want to see the bottom of the building, you see this. You click on that. Okay, and from the side, you see that, and this way. So you have to just practice how you want to see the elevations and the plan view and the side view and all these things. And then at the same time, you can rotate this one. You can see. You can rotate. But actually speaking, you don't need this one much, right? If you see, if you hold your mouse, right, you just lock the mouse while the cursor is here. You lock the mouse and then you can just rotate, but you have to lock the mouse. Okay, and you can see any angle. Okay, you can see from the bottom, you can see the piling. Okay, and then this is your elevation, right? You understand? And this is elevation, right? You can rotate, you can do whatever you want to do. But again, lock the mouse and then do it that way. Or otherwise, you can do that way. Otherwise, zoom in, zoom out, you can use the mouse wheel. You can use the mouse wheel like you did it with the 2D. Okay, and also you can use this one, zoom area, right? Zoom extend, zoom area, you can do that. Right, zoom area, right? And reset view. So those functions you can always use with 3D as well. But only thing is rotation is possible with this and also with this. Okay. Top, side, bottom views, you can do that. Okay. Can you just play around with this 3D now? Right. And see whatever the views that you want to see using the mouse. Right. If you want to take the entire thing, you lock the mouse wheel now. You lock the mouse wheel and then drag it. You can move the entire model. But if you want to see rotation, you lock only the left mouse and then drag. But can you just practice this little bit and zoom in, zoom out? Right. Here we go. Right. Take 2 minutes and practice this first. Right. First with the wheel mouse, zooming in, zoom out, and lock the wheel mouse, and then you can move the entire building or the 3D model. And then you can lock the left mouse and then you can rotate. Right, just practice that. And you can use this one anyway, but that is slower. Right, so go to drawings tab, like what you did with the normal 2D drawings. And now you can see again, most of the functions that you have used in 2D drawings can be used here. You can save the views if you want. But if you want kind of a very, let's say zoom area, I want to zoom this area and I want to save that view at, let's say, view 1, insert, right? And then I reset the view or show all, and I can see this view here, view 1. If you want, you can recall that view. So that is also available with the 3D, like what we did in 2D. So just practice that. Right, when they produce the 3D, remember, maybe architects or the structural engineer, when they produce the 3D, this is a structural model, by the way. This is not an architectural model. You can see only the columns and the beams and the slabs. You can see the piles. So obviously this is a structural model, you can see. And now you can see, if you want, like, you just, when you move your cursor, you can see some of the elements becoming highlighted, right? Right. You can see some of the items becomes green And when you click on that, or when you right click on that, right, you know, you have selected this green slab now, or slab is appeared as green. And if you want to see the properties of that object, because this goes as an object, this is the 3D model, these are objects, right? And then when you click on the object properties, now you can see area 1563 square meters, and the concrete volume 350 51.87, right? You have the volume, everything you have the perimeter also if you want, right? And you know it is level 2, okay, and all the properties are appeared here, so that is the beauty. So it's basically the properties are already embedded into this 3D model. So what CostX does is basically extract this information into dimension groups, right? So that is what CostX does basically. So it is already there in the model, the dimensions, the properties, everything. But those information can be extracted, gathered by CostX very easily when it comes to 3D. Now, for example, if you take one column here, right, you zoom in, and then select one column. You can see here this column. When you move your cursor, it will become green color. And you right click now and see object properties. And you can see length of that column is 3.8 meters. Volume, concrete volume is 0.569. So what else you want? Right? All the quantities are there. Even without measuring, you can see the quantities from the model itself. But when you want to prepare a BOQ, you can't click every object and gather the information. That is not going to be practical. But you can see all the details are embedded in the model, right? You have all the information. Sometimes you have even the colors, right? You have the entire specifications defined here. Now this is a structural column, right? Round column, type name 450 millimeter, right? And then the length is 3.8, the volume is this much. So all the information is here. All the information is here. Now, if you take another one, let's take one of the pile caps here, okay? Right. Now let's see, okay, let's take one of the pile cap here. Okay, let's do this. Okay, take the cursor here, right click and say object properties. And you can see even the volume is 1.296 of that pile cap. Length of that pile cap is 800. Width is 1.8. Excavation, bottom excavation levels are also given. So you have all the information here. Nothing to worry in the 3D itself. Then abstracting this information is the beauty of CostX. Right now, if you want to see all the pile caps of piles, let's say in this model, right, what you need to do is, let's say you take your cursor here, right click and say show all objects. Okay, sorry. Right click, show only the objects in, let's say, structural foundation or pile caps. Right, let's take, okay, show only the objects in structural foundation or pile caps, let's say. Now you can see only the pile caps. Right, these are the pile caps. Right, these are the pile caps now. Right, and zoom area, zoom events, so those are pretty standard. And you can say show all objects again, or you can say show all here. And if you want to see only the columns, like okay, 2D is very special in that way. If you want to see all the columns, you click on one column, or you right click on one column and say show only the objects in structural columns, or current selection. Current selection is only that column, you can see only that column, right? And say show all. Oh, reset view, or show all. Show all. Okay, now let's say I want to see all the columns only. What I do is I right click and say show only the only objects in structural columns here. 196, 450, and concrete round column, right? Let's take structural column. Now you can see everything here. So there are two columns types. That's why you get that information. You have two sizes of columns, and it is asking me whether I need to see only 450 millimeter diameter or the other diameter. So I said I need all the columns. Now you can see here all the columns. And you can go back and say show me all the objects. And if you want to see only the slabs, so what you do is you select this one. Either you take the current, show only the current selection, that means only that particular slab, or right, or you can take all the floors, or you can select only certain thicknesses if you want. Only 225 you can select, or you can select all 4 flat. But these are the floors. Now you can see, and you can say that is reset view of this particular one, right? And then can right click and say show me all. Okay, can you practice this one a little bit? Select what you want to see and try out different combinations. Like if you want to see only the current one, show only object current selection. You see only this. Correct? And if you want to see all again, you can say show all objects. It is interesting, isn't it? But can you practice? I'll give you 2 minutes just to manipulate the 3D. Actually, there's nothing to measure from the CostX 3D, because all the data right? You can see all the data are embedded in this 3D model itself. You don't have to measure anything. When you right click, you can see what is it. You know the concrete volume, you know the length, you know the height, right? You have all the information. If you go to, let's say, if you take one of the piles here, right? Just double click here and say object properties, and it will give you all the volume is 0.754. So if you want to order the concrete, right, you don't have to do any calculation now. You can just right click on one of the elements and say, okay, I need this much of cubic meters of concrete here. Right, if you see all the piles, you know how many cubic meters of concrete. Right, you have to add only the wastage if you want to order the concrete. If you are a contractor's QS. But if you are a consultant QS, you don't need to add anything for the wastages. You can include those volumes in your BOQ without any trouble. Right, so all this information is already there in the 3D. But in the 2D, no. You have to calculate the volume. Right, you have to calculate the area sometimes. You have to calculate the length. But here in 3D, you have everything. And also you have to practice here. Now you can have different views now. For example, if you want like shaded view, or you have something called, okay, let's reset the view. Show all objects. Okay. Right. You have, there are different views here. Right. If you want to see, you can see here, there's something called ghost view. Okay. And then you have something called transparent view. You can see here, transparent. You can see through the building, right? And if you want shaded and transparent, and sometimes you have wire, something called wireframe. So I'll remove this transparent and I'll say shaded and wireframe. So there are different views here. You can see. Now this one, now for example, even if you want to see something other side, you can see because it's transparent view. Okay. This is called wireframe. Only the wireframe is highlighted here. And if you want to see shaded, you can see shaded now. If you want to see the transparent, you can do that. And why it is transparent is very important. You can see certain elements through the transparent building. Right? If you want to see this beam, for example, you can see this beam. You can right click and say object properties, and you can see the volume and the length of that beam. Right? Even it is within the building, you can see the elements in the transparent mode. And if you have any text, you can see that. Any hatches, you can see that when you take this on. Right? Yeah, so there are different views that you can go to with this. Now it is only the shaded, right? I have removed the transparent. And wireframe, I have only now wireframe. Okay, so this is the best. Oh, one of these more views, shaded or transparent. All right. You also can add another building. We also add another structure here, drawings, add drawing. And you have something called eco homes here. You can add that one also. You can manipulate, say, eco homes 3D. I'll leave it as is. It's not substructures. I'll leave it, let's say, model 2 or something. I'm not putting in the same folder. Right. Now I have created another folder called eco homes, and that is a different one. You can see here. It is an architectural model, you can see. Right. You can even walk through this sometimes. Again, you can see the top view, side view, right? You can rotate it, right? If you want to see the bottom, you can do that, okay? So with the mouse, the mouse, and zoom in, zoom out, same. Again, when you click on these objects, you can get the properties, okay? Right here, you can right click, and then you can recall all the properties from here, right? Zoom area, those functions also available. Show all objects, right? So that is here. And if you want to hide some of the geometry, now I'll show you that here. If you want to hide columns, like for example, say hide objects in a structural column. You remove the, you hide all the columns here, right? And right click and say show me all. That means show all objects. So what you need to do is you have to right click and try out all these functions whenever you have time. Right? You just try out all the functions. There's nothing, I mean, nothing will happen. Okay. You can experiment some of the functions here on your own. Right? And if you want to close the menu, you can just close it. Right? Reset view. Here also you have reset view. Okay. So that goes back to the original view. When you say reset view, that is the original position. When you start first, that is where you were. You go back to that. But I think I'll stop here, and I want you to practice some of the functions, how to manipulate drawings, right? You understand? And again, when you click on this roof, right, when you take your cursor to very close to the roof sheet, and when you right click, and you will get the object property. Right, area 100 square meters, volume, and it's a roof, right? All the details are given. Very interesting, right? You don't have to measure anything. It is already there. So it's a matter of abstracting this information into dimension groups and then prepare a BOQ accordingly. You can see how easy it is because all the details, all the parameters are given there in the 3D. Right. So if you want to abstract accurate information from CostX, then the Revit model or whatever the 3D model should have all the accurate information. If you have a garbage, your BOQ quantity also will be incorrect. So your BOQ is as good as your 3D. If you have a quality 3D, right, then you have a quality BOQ, simple as that. Because it's a matter of abstracting this information into a dimension group first, and then from dimension group to the BOQ or workbook. Now, if you don't know what it is, you just take your cursor here and right click and say what it is. It's a solar panel, you can see here. It's a solar panel. The size is also given 2000, sorry, 21 by whatever. Right? It's a solar heater panel. So all the details are there. Even the color can be stored here. What color and all this thing. Okay. So all the information is here. And let's take another look finally. Okay, this one. This is a handrail. Let's see the specification of this handrail. Say object properties. It's a railing, 1100 millimeter long. Length is 1239 millimeters. And there's an ID, object ID you can see here. For the Revit model, you have a model ID. You understand now? So all the details are given there. Right. So I'll stop here now. Okay. And then when we come back, I'll tell you how to. So we don't normally call as measure, sorry, taking off from 3D. We don't take off from a 3D. What we do is we abstract information from the 3D, or we call it as quantity harvesting. Harvesting quantities from the 3D. We don't call it as taking measurements from 3D model. Remember that. It's a technical word that we are using in building information model. Quantity harvesting. Okay, quantity harvesting. So remember that. With that, I will stop. Quantity harvesting. So we don't call as quantity takeoff in 3D. What we call as quantity harvesting. This is a technical word, or sometimes we can call it as quantity extracting, because all the details are there. As I have shown you, all the details are there. If you click any of this, right, not double click, right click, and then you have all this information, properties, right? Volume, the perimeter, area, whatever, everything is there. Right. Okay, I'll stop here and practice this, right? Manipulating a 3D model, whatever the views that you want to take, and then different, what do you call, views, wireframe view, shaded view, or transparent view, and then how to find out object properties, right click, and then you can hide some of the geometry, right? And then recall, right? And then hide objects, current, or all of them, or show all of them, or current. So all this can be possible. You can just try out all the possible combinations and see what happens, right? So it's a kind of a trial and error method you need to learn, and you have to be familiarized with these functions so that you can do whatever the work very fast. Okay. Right. So I'll stop here and I'll see you next week at the same time. So when we meet, we'll extract quantities from this 3D model, which is one of the easiest one. Okay. You don't have to use your brain too much like what you did in 2D. Okay. 2D is the most difficult part because there's a lot of involvement from the QS. But here, no involvement, everything will be automatic. Okay, right. So with that note, I'll call it a day, and I'll see you next Saturday, same time. All right, guys. Good night to all of you, and take care.
Okay, good night. Thank you.
Good night.